Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. To Geeks Talking is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. Of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. We're joined today by a very, very talented comic creator and animator. If you've seen her animation of Monkey Rag, then you're in the right place. We're joined today by Joanna
Davidovich.
Davidovich. Thank you. I was gonna butcher it in some way, shape, or form, but I'm glad you said it before I did. So,
No problem.
and welcome to the show. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking. A mutual friend of ours, Adriana Blake, mentioned you to me, and I'm glad she did. She has a very good eye for friends and for talented and creative people. So thank her for that on our behalf here. Um, how did you? Well, first of all, let's tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us how you got into animation.
Um, I'm a freelance animator based in Atlanta, Georgia, as you can obviously see. Um, and I've been doing work on commercials and promos and little broadcast bits and baubles since about 2004. Um, I got started basically my junior summer of college. I got an internship with a broadcast design studio called Primal Screen, and they just put me to work right away, and I learned everything on the job, and I had the best time animating all of these characters on that were on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and I got to just do a little bit of everything. And ever since then, I've just been expanding on that, and here I am. Yeah.
Well, there's been some a lot of popularity around your recent animation of well, I'm sorry, I don't know how recent, but called Monkey Rig. It's recent to me, so it's
Well, I just put it online about 2 weeks ago.
then
Um,
it's super recent.
so, I mean, it doesn't. It feels like I've been working on it for my entire life, but it's new to everybody else.
Well, that's great to hear. No, it's beautiful because animation is so at least nowadays it's very 3D. It's very in your face. But I mean, it has its qualities there. But going back to the Chuck Jones days of the Warner Brothers and everything along that line, just what I grew up with anyhow, and it was great to see that in Monkey Rag and such great animation, great music to it as well. I mean, were you singing that or?
I wish. The band is called the Asylum Street Spankers, and they gave me permission to use their song. I think the song was released in 2002 on
Okay.
their album My Favorite Record, which is that's what it's called. It's close to my actual favorite record, but it's not. Never mind. That's the problem when you get me talking. I just words, and let me draw pictures instead. I can't speak.
Well, what is it about animation that drew you to it, from pun intended of sorts?
Well, I've always liked it. As soon as I learned that it was a job that you could do to make money and survive on, I don't know if I ever considered anything else. Like every kid wants to be a marine biologist and an archaeologist. And then once I got to Animator, I just stopped. I never went to anything more practical than that. Um, and it's, you may as well want to be like a rock star as be an animator because it seems it's so much harder than I ever thought as a kid. And Monkey Rag is sort of an example of that. Like I didn't think it would take me this long to get it done. Um, but I guess hopefully now enough people have seen it so that like I'm like a real animator now. Like the Blue Fairy granted my wish, and I'm a real animator. So I forget the question.
uh, how you were drawn to comics, so it's good.
Oh yeah, I mean every kid is. I mean I don't know. Every time I meet a child, I was like, well, what's your favorite cartoon? And they always have this answer. Every kid wants to make cartoons, and somehow they grow into snotty teenagers and forget about that, or push that part of themselves down. But I mean, like I said, I just got to Animator and stopped. Like I didn't grow up beyond that.
Oh, no, it's a great profession. It's something that is has been around for forever, and you know, kids gravitate towards that. Heck, I'm a big kid, and I still gravitate towards it as well too. So you know,
Yeah,
it, it,
I watch cartoons all the time. Just um, there's just something about how broad the appeal of cartoons and animation is. There's just you don't have to like identify your looks with the lead character. You don't have to be the same species as the main character. But they're so focused on just like broad emotion, like a big idea, and there's something really unique about how like a very simple cartoon character can have a lot of people from all different backgrounds identify with.
talk about the industry itself, because the industry's changed a lot over the years, and from when it started till now. Um, when you think animation, or at least when most people think animation, they still think hand drawing on paper, frame by frame, as you go. Is that still the process as it is, or has the digital aspect of things taken over that process?
Well, I don't think most people, when they think of animation, don't think of drawing at all anymore. At the time I talk to, just Joe, everyday person, they're like, well, the computer does it. Like, especially clients tend to think the computer does everything. And but yeah, the digital technology has made things a lot more accessible. And we have the industry today is more prolific than ever before at any other point in history. And yet at the same time, because we have these tools that make it so much more accessible and available for everybody, things have become a lot more factory-like. And animators aren't really perceived as individual artists with unique things to say as much anymore as they are just sort of cogs to get a product out. And I mean, I read a lot of blogs, and there's the classic traditional animation guys who are talking about how the industry has changed so much from back in the days of the Rabbit Factory, Termite Terrace, and when the 9 old men were still walking around. And of course, intellectually, of course, it's got to be different, but just the character of everyone's, I don't know. Since I wasn't there, I can't really put it into words, but I just feel like this big sense of loss that I never got a chance to experience that kind of climate where everyone was trying to, come together and advance themselves as artists, and you get to focus on making one film every couple of years. To today, where everyone's sitting separated from each other in little cubicles with little Cintiqs or big Cintiqs, and it's just about getting stuff done as quickly as possible. And I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to be in the kind of environment that I dreamt about as a kid. Yeah, I don't know. I keep reading what the old traditional guys have to say, and it always makes me sad. And it sort of informs my rather grim outlook on life. And it's not to say that I don't think that the films and TV shows being produced today are in any way inferior. I mean, they are amazing. These movies that get produced are astonishing in their scale, and they're they're unbelievable. But there still is a quality about them where, like, you see, they're kind of homogenous. The studios are trying to make things more slick and more just, you can't pick apart shots based on who you think. Like, you can't say, oh, this person animated this shot and that person animated that shot. Like, watching old Looney Tunes, you can tell a Chuck Jones cartoon from a Friz Freleng cartoon, and I never thought that these glaring inconsistencies in the character design must be addressed. I just thought, well, that's just Chuck Jones, and that's just Chris Freeling. And going back to movies in the 80s, like The Great Chipmunk Adventure, and being able to pick out, I bet Glenn Keane did that. I bet Dan Haskett did that. And today, you'd be really hard-pressed to figure out, like, who did what. And it's sort of the culture, they want that. They want the characters to not have any kind of personal touch to them. I remember hearing somebody say that in a documentary about Pixar, and it was like, no, not Pixar. Pixar, they would want their artists to have ownership over those characters and those shots. So I put a lot of, I always wanted to be, craft something myself and be proud of it. And I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to do that professionally. So that's why I made Monkey Rag. Around.
That's good. I mean, creativity is something that is definitely hard to grasp sometimes. Has there ever been a time, especially when you were working on Monkey Rag, where your creative muse decided to take the day off there?
I did, whenever, it was not so much my creativity needed to take a day off, I needed to take a day off because my back was hurting or my arm was cramping up. Like the stupid meat bag that we all have to inhabit. It's, I have to eat, I have to sleep, what a waste of time. So, like Monkey Rag, I did that one as opposed to whatever, like an actual story or something serious or more spiritually meaningful. I did Monkey Rag because it was just so fully formed in my head. I'd listened to that song for years, and I loved it, and every time I listened to it, I got just that cartoon just kept filling up my head, and I had to get it out. And, you've heard the song. It's a very catchy song. You need to get it out of your head at some point. And the only way for me to do that was to make a cartoon. And hasn't quite worked. I still think about it all the time. But it's just, I like the idea of doing something incredibly silly and just cartoony for cartooniness' sake, because I don't know why that it's so radical these days to just make a cartoon that's cartoony. Apparently that's like a statement, but I never thought it was. I just wanted to have some fun and do something that my 10-year-old self thought I would be doing at this point in my life. And so, yeah, inspiration was not a problem for me.
When you first thought of this idea and you started working on it, did the community of animators know, or did you inform anyone, or was it something you were kind of keeping a fairly tight lid on?
No, I wanted everybody to know about it. I posted updates every 5 minutes on my blog. It was like, I made a drawing today! Guys, look at it! I posted the Boardomatic and every couple of scenes that got updated, character designs, and like I wanted people to, I was like, look at it! And like for anybody who did look at it, I'm still incredibly appreciative because, I don't quite understand. I have some friends who are enormously talented, and they do all of this work like in secret. They never tell anybody about it. I'm like, well, why are you keeping this to yourself? You got to share it with everybody. Put it out there. Yeah, there's going to be some trolls who say, nasty words sometimes, but for the most part, animators are really supportive and encouraging, and it's not like the world of actors or live action people where everyone just wants to beat you down and just I don't know, it's very competitive in a nasty way, and animators are just nice. Like why wouldn't you want to put your stuff out there to make friends with people? I mean, that's how I sort of know Adriana. We never met in real life. We're internet buddies, but I'm going to meet her soon, and I'm very excited. Again, I lost, words again. No, I did not keep it a secret.
The thing with my questions are they're very open-ended, so it's very easy to lose trains of thought. So that's the reason why I've been doing this so long.
I know. I should have, before this started, I should have said, what are the questions you're going to ask? And I'd write them down, and then I write down my answers, so I'm sure to stay on topic.
You wouldn't get any questions because I very rarely have a script.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's talk about yourself. How long did Monkey Rag take for you to put together?
It took about 4 years.
Wow.
I know. That's when I said I feel like I've been working on it my whole life. I'm not exaggerating. That's how it feels. I'm like a lifetime of tired. I started on it when I had some downtime, and then freelance started picking up. And, you know, it's money, and you have to keep, you have to live. So I just would work on Monkey Rag when I could, nights, weekends, and if I had any downtime between jobs. But I never turned down a job to work on Monkey Rag. Like, Monkey Rag was always, if I have time, I will get to it. And it also sort of helped because when you're a freelancer, it helped me be more brave as a freelancer, because when you freelance, you can't predict when you're going to have work and when you're not. And whenever I got into a dip period, I'd be really scared and frustrated and worried, but I'd also be kind of happy. I was like, hey, I get to work on Monkey Rag for a couple weeks. This is great. And then the worry's still there, but I'm busy with something. And so it was always, I was tired all the time, but it was an emotionally healthy thing for me to do. At least I think so. Maybe I'm not the best person to judge my emotional health at the moment. But it's done. It's done now. That's a good thing.
So are you going to submit it to festivals? Are you going to go to the short films? I'm sure would love that type of stuff.
Well, I spent this whole year submitting to festivals. It's at the end of its run, which is why I felt comfortable putting it online, because a lot of festivals are we don't want to screen anything that's been online because which is dumb, because they spend months deliberating and jerking you around and then at the end of the day rejecting you. So I spent a whole year pouring a lot of time and a lot of money. Submitting to festivals is like a full-time job. And I submitted to over 170, which is kind of overkill. But most people I talk to, like, they round out at about 100. But I was like, no, submit to all the festivals. And it turned out to be, what's the diplomatic way of saying it? A learning experience. I don't think I'll do it the same way for my next short, but I was definitely happy to put the festival stuff behind me and just, internet, be my friend.
Out of the sorry, out of those 170, because there's a percentage people say that 1 in 10 or 1 in 7 get accepted to festivals. What was your rough average?
Well, I'm still actually waiting to hear back from about 40, but I got into my current total is 57 accepts and 77 rejections. So I think that
pretty good.
Let me do a quick
calculation.
Oh wait, no, I forgot. I don't know how to do math. So
50,
somebody else do that.
It's 57 divided by 170.
I already gave up.
33%.
Yeah, that's not the greatest.
Hey, it's better than if you didn't submit it, then you would have 0%. So
that's true. But funnily enough, my student short did a lot better on the festival circuit, and it's called Juxtaposer. It's not great. It's on YouTube as well. It was basically about my cat and me and the world. And it earned me a couple $100 though. I won a couple prizes with it.
That's good. You're an award-winning animator. You can safely say that now.
Yes, I can, but I feel very misleading when I say that.
You don't have to say what awards.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Just like I'm an award-winning documentary filmmaker. I won awards for short films, not for documentaries. There's a
I don't know if anybody asks, I'll just say it's a major award, you know, and then
you,
I'll buy myself a lemon.
in animation circles. It's a major award. Yes.
Yeah.
um, let me see here. Sorry, I just lost you for a second. The major thing when it comes to animation, or well, let's focus on creativity here. Obviously you've been doing this a while, so you're very passionate about animation. What else are you passionate about in your life?
I like music a whole lot. Old-timey music. I like movies, old-timey movies. You notice a pattern? I like old things. um, Generally, I respond a lot to sincerity in media, and like the past couple decades, sincerity has been equated with cheesiness. So a lot of the stuff I like is also cheesy. But if I feel like they're honest about being cheesy, like Singing in the Rain, movie musicals, what could be cheesier? But when Gene Kelly says, "Come on with the rain, there's a smile on my face," it's like, oh, he means that. That is not a fake smile. I know he had a fever at the time, but it's coming from a place where they're passionate about what they're doing, and they're not afraid to show it. And at somewhere along the way, that became really uncool, like way nerdy to be sincere. I mean, actually, isn't that the definition of nerdy? Somebody who's passionate about something? I mean, yeah, cheesiness, sincerity became nerdy, and so all the cool kids, they can't care about stuff. They can't be sincere about stuff that they like. And so that sort of popular media kind of has that tone to it still, where it's like I can't get into pop music because I'm like, they don't care about what they're singing about, and the beat isn't it doesn't grab me in any way. I really don't think they care. Why should I care? And so I mean, not everything that's made right now is like that, but for the most part, like, it's not cool to be sincere about stuff. I mean, look at hipsterism. Like, they're into stuff, but they're like, whatever, you know? But back in the day, it was really cool to be into whatever. I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but when you look at the kind of animation that was being done at Disney, like in the 40s, like Make Mine Music, where they love this music, and they're just inventing new ways to express the story and the characters, and it just shines through everything. And the live action movies being made at the time with not just musicals, but the weird, funny comedies. I love Danny Kaye. I love Danny Kaye, and like anything he's in, like his whole body is in it. Like there's not a part of him that's self-conscious or self-aware, and I really admire that, and that's why I like that old-timey music and old-timey movies and old-timey actors, is because they're just very sincere. I wish I knew another word. I have a limited vocabulary. Sorry.
But they're honest in their portrayal. I mean, you look at those films, black and whites. You look at anything that the actors of the 40s, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they don't see it as a paycheck. They see it as something something to hone their craft. You see a lot of the great actors of those times, Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Gene Kelly, Bing Crosby, stuff like that. They saw these films as ways to either showcase their singing, showcase their acting. John Wayne was more about shooting things and drinking, but that's beside the point.
About breaking things.
And then you have Mel Brooks with Blazing Saddles and all those other. I'm more of a comedy
Oh, I
type
love Mel
thing.
Brooks.
So,
He's
yeah.
very he has created a beautiful preservation of that kind of humor. Like I'm so glad that Mel Brooks is still alive. Hopefully you can meet him someday.
I met his son.
Really? Max Brooks?
Yep.
Wow.
And yeah, I called him the wrong. I called his name. I said he was Mark or Max or Marv Brooks, and he kind of made fun of me for 8 minutes straight. So I'll show you the link afterwards. It's online as well, so it's a reminder of how to get people's names right. Uh, but no, for me, Mel Brooks was always the epitome of comedy and just that sense of humor. It was like it really hit my funny bone every single time, no matter what it was, from Blazing Saddles to Young Frankenstein to the producers actually ended up seeing that in theater, in an actual theater in Detroit, and I was like, that's hilarious. Then I saw the movie afterwards, and it was even more funny. So
And I think it's like if you look at a comedy being made today, which I tend to not like modern comedies. Like you look at an Adam Sandler film, like
mm,
they don't
mm,
care at all about what they're doing, and especially jokes a lot of the times are very mean spirited. Just like I feel bad for the characters, and you look at filmmakers like Mel Brooks or the Zucker brothers, like the Zucker Abrams movies, and nobody's like taking jabs at anybody else. They're always, it's coming from a weirdly positive place where the characters are invested in each other's weird lunatic antics.
mm.
And I don't know, I like that. I like that a lot, and I think that's where the best comedy comes from. And that it's, I don't want to sound hypocritical too, but it's almost like in order for mean-spirited humor to be funny, you have to be like so over the top mean that you just forget all of your humanity, which is why I also like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's like, those characters, they have no redeeming qualities. They don't care anything for each other, and I love that show. I really can't explain it because I talk about sincerity and positivity all the time, but then there's It's Always Sunny. I'm like, oh, I want more. Give me more. This is so terrible.
Well,
So I guess I need to think about it more.
I, I, I can agree with your assessment of comedy movies today, and especially some that have been out where, like a Seth MacFarlane film or
That's
some.
funny. Seth MacFarlane, I just saw Ted for the first time a couple days ago, and I was surprised. I thought it was going to be just mean all over the place, but I was impressed that he actually, crafted this very warm relationship between Ted and Mark
Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberg, and made Mila Kunis's character not like a big old bitch. Like I assumed she was going to be like this hot bitch that was just going to mess everything up, but they were just like this nice trio of characters that were trying to work things out. I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but I found myself enjoying it and being really pleasantly surprised that he actually, made the characters care for each other. So, but I've heard that his recent movie, A Million Ways to Die in the West, is not like that at all. Have you seen it?
No, I won't spend money on something like that. I saw the trailer and I'm like, no, sorry, I can't spend money on that. I don't have time to waste my life on something like that.
Well, Seth MacFarlane, for me, has a pass for life because he produced Cosmos, and he sings in a big band. I mean,
Yes.
I'm a big fan of his life.
No, no, he's very talented, and I mean, I loved Family Guy. I loved all of his stuff he's done. The fact that he voice acted in Hellboy was amazing, and
Did?
um,
Oh boy.
second one, the Golden, he
Oh,
was the German guy with the smoke in his.
I don't think I saw the second Hellboy. Whatever.
You watch the second one, and the behind the scenes were funny because Del Toro was there, and Seth MacFarlane walked in, and he did like he was talking in German, and he was doing the accent, and then we do this and that, and he was changing it. His process for voice work was incredible, I have to admit. So.
Yeah. Good problem.
Um, so about yourself, about your animation then, from a creative standpoint, is there, especially I guess being an animator, have there ever been any, I guess, creative mistakes that kind of snuck into your animation?
Hmm. Well, I don't think. Hmm. Like mistakes. I mean, we make mistakes all the time, but it's always a way to come closer to the solution. Um, I guess one mistake is trying to get things done too quickly, where you don't take the time to go back and revisit. And on the flip side, another mistake is spending too much time on something where you're never going to get it right, so let it go. Um, I made both mistakes on Monkey Rag. um, I also made the mistake of not planning things out properly. I never, like I referenced before, I didn't think it was going to take me that long. I just wanted to get into animating this behemoth. So I didn't think about the backgrounds. I didn't think about how the hell am I going to color it. Like I have a little behind the scenes making up Monkey Rag, and there's like a lot of time given to how I colored it because that was in reality a big stumbling block for me, and I thought that it was all over because there was no way for my paper to get into my computer. Like the programs don't do that anymore, even though they say they do. And so I should have, really thought ahead and figured stuff out before it was desperately needed. Um, but at the same time, it all worked out in the end. Who's to say that I would have maybe done things that were not as cool? I don't know. I mean, I guess the only thing I could say that is like a real success is that it is done. I've figured it out. I probably did everything completely wrong. Oh, I know I definitely did one thing wrong. I did it at 30 frames per second because I wanted extra control in the timing.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was like, "You're insane. Don't do that." And I was like, "What? What? It'll be fine. It's just a couple extra drawings." And not only was it, way more drawings than necessary, but it made it really difficult in the compositing stage and exporting to different formats and everything because of reasons that I can't put into words right now. If anybody's smarter than me, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a mistake. Don't work at 30 frames per second. I'm looking at you guys. Yeah, I think either everything was a mistake or just that was a mistake. It's it's hard to think about it now. It feels like a bad dream now.
Well, I'm kind of curious. Being in film, I'm more of a filmmaker than a visual artist. I can understand the 30 frame aspect because it's the transposition from 30 down to a lower aspect will actually cause a slowdown. And similar case when you're trying to reverse, sorry, if you're going from a lower frame per second to a higher frame per second, uh, that seems to work out fairly well. But if you're going from from a large frame rate to a small frame rate, it completely slows it down and throws everything off. So.
Yeah, and I thought the loss was negligible except on the pans. Like you could really see
Mm.
stutter on the pan. I don't know if we ever fixed it. I think maybe the one festival that required um, that particular output, I think we ended up just not sending anything because it just looked like discouragingly bad.
Yeah.
But there's
Um,
a lot of technical stuff. Most technical stuff I can't hold in my head. Like figuring out how to get the paper in the digital world. I was ready to give up. My husband is the one who figured it out, and it took a long time, and he had to do a lot of jerry rigging, and he made a tutorial. It's a 40-minute long tutorial on how to freaking scan stuff because we wanted to batch scan. And that is apparently, a crazy dream in the world of animation. But he made it work. And um, yeah, Toon Boom, zero support, but Nate made it work.
uh, the best jury rigging you can ever have is stuff you build yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to watch his tutorial and I'm like, I can't.
You can do hundreds of thousands of cells for animation, but you can't watch a 40-minute video.
I can't. It hurts my soul.
This isn't animated quick enough, but it's real life. Did you do that at 30 frames a second?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a problem I have learning new programs too, where I've done a little bit of work in Harmony or Animate Pro, whichever you call it, and I just look at it and I'm like, there's too much. There's just too much is going on. I just want to do this. Just make the character do this, computer. And it's like it's so much easier to just do it on paper. Why can't we just do stuff on paper? Because I can come up with the idea and just draw it, and it's done. But then we have to use these computer programs where we not only have to be the animators, but we're also the inkers and the colorists, and also puppeteers. And you never you're letting the program dictate what the animation is going to look like rather than what is the coolest thing I can imagine, and that's what I'm going to animate because you know. So yeah, most of my professional work is done in Flash, which is hard enough, you know. And
Irene.
yeah, so I just like drawing. Whatever keeps me drawing. It's just the interface. I can deal with the paper and pencil interface.
Um, when it comes down for it, as a person, rather than an animator, rather than a professional, what do you care? What do you most deeply care about
As a person,
as a person?
like family and friends, or
Sure, if you care about them.
I do care about my family and friends. Um, that is a big question. I I don't care about cars very much. Maybe it's easier to whittle it down. I'll start with all the things I don't care about. I don't care about sports at all. Maybe a little bit of hockey because my husband took me to a couple games. I was like, wow, they're really fast. Um, but baseball and football, I don't get it. Um, I don't care about cooking all that much. Although it's like my whole thing, eating is such a waste of time. Like, why do we have to do it 3 times a day? My God. But I try to be good at cooking because of the necessity of sustenance. I don't care about. It might be the only things I don't care about. Because everything else I seem to have an opinion on. And the mistake that most people make with me is engaging me on any subject whatsoever. I'll be, let me tell you about Sweeney Todd. Tim Burton took this musical that is the dark comedy, and he made it so bland. And like, the reason I say Sweeney Todd is because there was one guy that I used to work with that he knew that I would go off on Sweeney Todd anytime it was just mentioned, and I would just say, let me tell you! And I never caught on for months that he was doing it on purpose, just mentioning it so that I could go on this rant. I love adorable animals. I don't do anything about that, but just in general, I love them. Technology is something I appreciate very much, but I honestly don't care about it. Like, I have an iPhone, but I didn't want it. I wanted a dumb phone just to make, because like, all I need is to make calls. Can I just get a dumb, cheap phone that just makes calls? But then people kept texting me all the time, because people do that now. And it was costing a lot of money, so, you know, got to get a phone that can text. And if you're going to do that, might as well get a neat phone that can do everything else. Now I can't live without the phone, but I just did not give a crap about having one. I care about music a lot, but again, it has to be music that, you know, somebody made it because they wanted to say something. Like most pop music, I really find offensively bad. Like, not because the lyrics have bad words in them, but just because, like, where's the melody? Where's the rhythm? Where's the love? If it's about being in the club, I usually don't care for it. It's like, if your song's about being in the club, I don't care. I also don't care about clubs. And I say it that way because I miss Homestar Runner.
Yes. Classic.
Yeah, I think one thing I think is important. So I'll wrap up this horrible rambling that I'm doing, and I'm so sorry. But I think that people in general don't treat themselves nicely enough. And it's not even just about being nice to other people, it's about being nice to oneself. Because I know I do it a lot, and so I can recognize it when other people do it a lot. Like, you don't eat properly, don't sleep properly, don't go out into the world, enjoy each other's company properly. People were just ragged, and we live in such an amazing time in human history, and nobody's having fun. Like, it drives me crazy sometimes. For like, I look at just the last month that I've lived. I was like, why was I not over the moon every minute of this past month? What's wrong with me? And I think we just generally all put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do things that don't really matter and that don't really make us happy. And ever since I finished Monkey Rag, I've been making a real effort to just see my friends and go outdoors and see the sunshine. You know, I'm still a little about sun, but it's like we need to just take a step back and just remember how to enjoy ourselves again. And it's just weird because our culture is all about whim worship and instant gratification on the one hand, and on the other hand, like, people are not doing things that make them happy. So I'm not sure why we are all this way, but I feel like everyone that I talk to is kind of struggling between these two things. So yeah, just care about yourself and your happiness, and maybe everyone will make a stupid cartoon like I did. Yeah, it's not stupid. I know it's not a stupid cartoon. It's but it is silly. I think silliness is important. I care about silliness. If I run for president, it'll be on that platform.
The silly platform.
Yeah, it's like children need, well-balanced breakfast, great education, and they need silly time. They need time to be silly kids. And I think adults need silly time too.
I agree. And you're going to hand out silly string as well, just because.
No, whoever's handing out the silly string is the person that cleans it up. I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
Obviously you're successful in your career. You're very successful in terms of completing this massive project with Monkey Rag. Do you consider yourself personally successful?
Remember how I said before that we all put pressure on ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
I tend to do that a lot. I don't like to talk about that part of me very much because I tend to, get emotional. I don't think I'm a failure, but I feel like I've got so far to go. I really want to be excellent at something. I really want to be great at animation or character design or just drawing in general, and I know I'm not there. But I just, I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully, I will still, make enough money to support myself on that. But I'm trying, like, Monkey Rag was a lot of pressure that I put on myself. Like, it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of pressure too. So right now I'm just trying to do what will make me better. I really want to be good. I'm just more than anything.
Sorry. All right. Last question then for you. The younger generation or generation in general is looking towards yourself and towards Monkey Rag as kind of an inspiration, because it shows that with hard work and effort you can actually complete something and go from there. They're seeing you as that inspirational person that they can strive to be. How can they inspire the generation that follows them?
I guess just follow through. A lot of people like to talk, like me, but not a lot of people stick with it. They lose faith in themselves. They don't have the confidence to just put their whole selves into something. And it actually takes a lot of fortitude to finish something, even if you're not sure if it's going to lead to anything better. And I don't know if that's going to happen for me or if it's going to happen for anybody else, but that the one thing I can claim as a success is that it's done, it's out there. And I think if anybody else wants that kind of success of having something completed, they just need to either trust themselves that if it inspires them, then it will inspire other people, or you just need to turn off that part of your brain entirely that questions that questions it, and just listen to that kind of that 10-year-old kid in you that's like, I want this to exist and I can make it happen and I don't care what anybody says, so it's just gonna have to exist because I'm gonna make it happen. I'm probably more of the 10-year-old person because anytime I start thinking about stuff like words like fortitude and self-confidence, I'm like, that makes me uncomfortable. So, well, it's just like the way they used to make cartoons back in the golden age. They didn't make it for any specific audience. I mean, Disney said that he wanted to please children. He wanted, I think he said his target market was women because women determine the taste of the like entire societies. I don't remember where I read that quote. It was fascinating though. But generally, they like all the artists and the animators, they worked to please themselves and to impress each other, and they were just so in love with what they did. And I think that sort of love is what other people responded to. And it's certainly what I love about that work, that it's just so self-contained. It's not asking for anything from the audience, unless they were selling bonds, which they were often doing. Um, but and it's not just animation, but anytime you come across a person that is just so in love with what they're doing, it infects you with that sort of love, and you want to make something of your own. And as long as you're doing something you're in just completely put yourself, your whole self into, it's gonna reach another person because we're all looking for sincerity in this world.
Do you find that sincerity is hard to come by in people today?
Well, it's odd. Normally I would say yes, but I've been meeting a lot of people individually, and just it's been testing my sort of grim outlook on humanity by meeting so many people. There's like, well, that person's great and that person's great. How come when I put all people together, I don't like them? Like, I don't like groups and big crowds and throngs of people, but individually, people are so cool. Um, so I guess maybe as a whole, as a culture, sincerity isn't something that is valued. But I think individual people have lots of sincerity to offer. I think it's just about, kind of like when I put Monkey Rag out there and I like shoot it out to a big crowd, I don't get a lot of response. But when I approach people individually, like, will you look at this? And they've always been so nice and so supportive. Um, so I don't know. Maybe it's just people have their guard up when they're in a crowd. And when you like walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, I'm a human being, just like you," they go, "Oh yeah," and then you can start to have an engaging conversation. Um, Maybe that's why I don't like the club, because it's just like a big throng of people and you can't hear anything. Um, but yeah, I don't think sincerity is lost, and I think that there's a lot of great people out there, especially animators and filmmakers, artists. Because I think we're probably the most sensitive, emotional people in society. So we're the most eager to let our guards down. Maybe it's just a thought.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to let those that are watching and listening to this know about, like your website or anything else that you'd like to
Sure.
promote or whatever?
For self-promotion stuff, my regular portfolio website is cupojo.net, cupojo.net. I got the domain in high school and thought puns were hilarious, and I have not changed it since. But yeah, and also JoannaDavidovich.com will work as well. It redirects. And my blogspot is joethezet at blogspot.com. Joe the Zet, also a name I came up with in high school and just did not change. So yeah, it's a Freakazoid reference. Then there's Joe the Zet at Tumblr and Joe the Zet on Twitter. I'm lazy when it comes to new names. It's just my name is so long, you know, like people have trouble with it. I don't like to use it. I try to connect with people on Facebook as well, although Facebook has been weird lately. Like, I don't know, they must have changed their algorithm. I'm not getting messages. Like, some guy was like, "I've been trying to be your friend for years." I was like, "I just now got your message. I'm so sorry." So Facebook is, I try to get to everybody on Facebook, but I think Facebook doesn't like me or has a vendetta against me.
Facebook doesn't like many people.
Isn't that ironic? It's supposed to be about bringing people together. Whatever. Yeah, I've got a YouTube page, and I don't know. I was thinking about making a T-shirt for Monkey Rag. I don't know. I need to make back some of my submission fee money. And just in general, I want to just reiterate, I'm not the best user of words, like on the cuff. So sometimes I say stuff that sounds like really dark and depressing, and I don't mean it that way. So if anything I've said this whole time like came off as like, "Whoa, this girl needs help," I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I just don't know how to put words in the right order of a sentence to make it sound like a normal person is talking.
Well, fair enough. I'm not the best with words either, so it works out well. Or else I'd be a lot more fluent in ums and ahs, or less fluent in ums and
No, you
ahs or
sound like a DJ for a smooth jazz station.
something. Well, thanks for tuning in to the bottom of the hour, folks. The traffic will be up next, but stay tuned for a word from our sponsors.
Hey, look, I can do that. Hey guys, the music. Hey, parts. I can't. Yeah.
Okay, well, I hate to say it, Joanne, but it's been the show's over, unfortunately. It's a shame. But I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. It's been a blast, a pleasure, and I definitely want to pick your brain in the future as well. I'd love to get you back on, definitely.
Sure, anytime. This has been an absolute. I'm so flattered that you wanted to talk to me at all. Like, seriously, why do you even want to talk to me? Jesus. But thank you, and anytime you want me back, I work from home a lot, so if if you want to be like, hey, you got 5 minutes, I'll probably say yes.
Fair enough. I'll just finish up the show here, and then we'll go to the pre-show or post-show green room stuff.
Okay.
So that ends this episode of TGT Media. Of course, that was Joanna Davidovich. Thank you. It's like, and of course, she is the animator and creator of Monkey Rag, which you can find on the YouTube channel, which we'll post in the podcast page as well. You can, of course, see this interview as well as many others on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/TGTmedia. Go to our main website for not only these interviews, video interviews, the audio interviews, but also our text interviews from our newest intern, Sarah. She's a journalist student at the University of Windsor, and she's providing some amazing articles and content for TGT as well. And you see her interviews every Wednesday as well, too. So thanks to her amazing hard work, and hopefully you can see her at Fan Expo as well, too. Finally, of course, we are on iTunes, itunes.com/ and search for Two Geeks Talking. That's the word two, not the number two. And of course, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/2geekstalking. And every dollar of every month supports us in some way, shape, or form, and we appreciate everyone's help in that matter as well. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. I'm Kurt Sassel, your host of the show, and tune in next time for another wonderful and great interview with another talented and creative person.